Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web. Today, I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and guys, this is our NXT review. And this was a phenomenal episode of NXT. I mean, we had one match, which I can't wait to talk about, that I didn't expect to be much, that for me personally was match of the night. We had two great tag team matches to kick off the tag team title number one contenders tournament, and even a Divas match with at least one competitor that you thought would crab the bed that actually turned out to be pretty entertaining. So I think this NXT succeeded on all fronts, Ashton.
Yeah, this was a really, really solid NXT. It's tough for me to say it was one of their better shows just because they're so consistently good regardless.
Right.
But yeah, this is the kind of NXT that brings us back to being able to say NXT is the best hour of wrestling on television today.
Without a doubt. And I think with that sentiment, we can transition right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And you've got to be kidding yourselves with me personally. I'm living in the Arctic out here with NXT. 0 heats of the night tonight.
Same here. No heats of the night.
All right, let's get right into our NXT review. And we open up with the first matchup in the NXT Tag Team Championship Tournament, Ashton.
Ty Dillinger and Jason Jordan versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass.
Big Cass! I love those guys. Honestly, I would go as far as to say, in terms of like what they represent, you know, being a tag team and being a comedy act, they are my favorite act in that particular section right now. Just absolutely incredible. Love those guys. They cut a great promo. Again, you know, doing all their usual shtick. Bada bing, bada boom. Realest guys in the room. How you doing?
He doesn't actually say bada bing, but I get your point.
Yeah. So that was fantastic. I just love the energy they bring. You know, I just think they're really entertaining. And this was a great match in terms of the psychology and everything. Dillinger and Jordan really played the heel roles exceptionally here.
Yeah, I know, dude. One of my biggest notes on here is that Dillinger specifically is so much better when he's working heel.
Yeah. Definitely. I really love the aggression they showed. They did frequent tags, knew how to cut the ring in half. And what I love about Enzo and Big Cass, and I think it's pretty common knowledge, but it really came to me. It really revealed itself to me tonight in this match, how great they have the dynamic with Enzo being, I guess, that scrappy kind of, you know, ragdoll, and then Big Cass really being the muscle of the team.
Yeah.
Because the stuff they did with Enzo in this match towards the end, and how Big Cass comes in as the triumphant hero, I thought was fantastic stuff.
It was. So basically what John's referring to is the finish of this match basically involves Jason Jordan in the ring with Enzo, and really just dominating Enzo. Eventually he gets Enzo backed up into the corner and he's going for like a spear or a splash or something, and Cass kind of throws himself between the ropes to stop the move from connecting with Enzo, and then he kind of has to recover, but then Jordan has Enzo up for like some kind of like an amateur style slam, I would say, and then Cass nails a big boot on him. Enzo falls down on top of Jordan, and that ends up being the pin for the win.
Because they really made Jason Jordan and Ty Dillinger seem like a legitimate threat here. Because really before that, and this is the big thing here, Enzo had gotten the hot tag, but his momentum lasted all but a second because Dillinger got this beautiful super kick square on the jaw. And they played up that Enzo was done from that point. Like, you could have done.
And you know what, though, dude? I will say I have got to give commentary a lot of credit because they were calling Dillinger out on a massive mistake that he made, both from a kayfabe perspective and just from a pure wrestling psychology perspective. If you hit somebody with that kind of a move, you need to go for the pin. Even if you know it's not going to be a 3 count because obviously these guys were scheduled to lose the match. Just from a psychological perspective, you need to go for the pin because the whole point is that you're trying to win the match.
Right. And you know what, though? I think the recovery is that these guys are a young team, and that because they were playing the heel role, you could play up that they were cocky, they were having too much of a good time being on the dominant side of things, and you saw how it came back to bite them from behind. I just loved how they played up the finish of this match, and really, I think it's so hard to make things seem like new in any kind of division. I mean, we've seen countless tag team matches over the years, both from specialized teams and thrown together teams, and I can't remember the last time I saw a finish just really that creatively done. So big ups to these two teams, and yeah, Enzo and Big Cass advanced to the semifinals.
Absolutely. I love that Enzo's able to kind of play the damsel in distress in those situations, and then Cass gets to save him.
Yeah, it just works out so perfectly because you know what? I could even see it being where Enzo gets that really sympathetic, like, do you believe in miracles kind of moment for his team in the future, where he does get the pin or the victory on behalf of his team.
Or even if it's just as simple as the other team is smart enough to really take Cass out of the picture and Enzo kicks out of a finisher. Like, that would be huge.
Yeah, that would be here. I think Enzo's going to get his moment because I think they're playing him up as like the scrappy again, the ragdoll, for a purpose, or as you said, the damsel in distress. I think he'll get his due, and this is just such a great act, one of my favorite acts I think in all of WWE right now. So.
Absolutely. As we said, because Enzo fell on top of Jordan after the big boot, he did pick up the 3 count. So Enzo and Big Cass move on to the, I believe, semifinals of the tag team #1 contendership tournament. Up next, we had an interview with Sami Zayn. Oddly enough, Renee Young is back to doing interviews. If I had to guess, I'd say they got rid of Devin Taylor and aren't happy with JoJo's work, whatever. But yeah, Sami Zayn interview. He doesn't really say much before Kid and Gabriel show up, and they start making fun of him for not having a tag team partner and basically not having any friends. Zayn said, I tapped you out last week, and I tapped you out the week before. I'll beat both of you by myself if I have to. And then he doesn't have to because Adam Rose shows up, and he said that he would be Zayn's partner. And then things get kind of awkward because Zayn agrees and says he'll be a Rosebud, and then Adam Rose offers him his lollipop, and he puts it in his mouth. Kind of weird.
Yeah, second week in a row. I'm not entirely fans of this from a hygienic perspective, and yeah, just awkward turtle, almost teetered over into anxious aardvark territory for me. But you can bet a lot of female wrestling fans who love this pairing, there's going to be a lot of fan fiction written tonight after that segment.
Tumblr fangirls, have your heart out.
Absolutely.
All right. Up next, we had the match that you were referring to earlier on tonight. CJ Parker comes out. He has a "Stop Frickin' Fracking" sign. And he starts to cut a promo, but then he gets cut off by Xavier Woods Music, who comes out, and we have this. This is a match tonight: CJ Parker versus Xavier Woods Mark II.
This was okay. 2 things I really want to stress here. First of all, this was significantly better than their first encounter, by a freaking mile for me. Not even to say that their first.
Well,
encounter
that's because it was
bad.
actually competitive. The first one was just like Xavier Woods starts out aggressive, then it goes to very, very brief back and forth, and then CJ Parker hits his finisher and it's over.
Right. Why I gave this my match of the night award personally, because don't get me wrong, the main event of Gabriel Kidd and Zayn Rose.
And you know what though, dude? I agree with you. That match was good, but it was not as good as this.
Yeah, and you know what else? I think I wasn't expecting this kind of match from these 2 guys, and I've always said to myself, if 2 guys that I could never give the credit of delivering come through and deliver, then I've got to give them the due respect for that, and this is how I do it, because these guys went out, and I'm going to say it, I think they tore the house down, especially the final minutes of this contest. Holy crap. These guys, I just thought, well, you know, this feud's whatever. But no, these guys literally, like, made me lean forward in my seat and really take note and pay attention. And you know what, for CJ Parker, who I have been bashing for months and have been so tentative about coming around to, because it's been such a slow process. You guys have seen it unfold here on TWitWoW. I think CJ Parker completely won me over tonight after this performance. Without question. This was awesome.
So it wasn't even a character thing. You just didn't... You needed him to prove to you that he could do it in the
in-ring work. I never liked his in-ring work. I always thought he was subpar. But he showed me, like, he does have a huge upside. I don't know if it's because he was working with Woods. I mean, you always have to consider the opposition when you're talking about things like this. But you know what? I liked what he did. I liked everything that he did. And then Xavier Woods, like, the best part of this match, for me, they got me twice. Because there were 2 times I thought the match was going to be over. CJ Parker kicked out both times, which I have to commend NXT for doing, because you'd want to think the gimmick is such a joke, and you'd want to just kind of roll your eyes and just ignore it and move on to guys like, I don't know, Zayn, Breeze, you know, Neville, all them. but he really showed a lot of toughness and resilience within the context of this match tonight. So it shows you that he can go, that he's not going to be put away easily. He kicked out a Lost in the Woods, and then before that, like, he was on his knees, and, like, Woods got, I guess, like a sliding front STO or something, or like a sliding complete shot or something like that, and Parker still kicked out. So, yeah, I was amazed at the resilience they allowed Parker to have in this match.
Yeah, I honestly, the sliding STO thing, I thought that might have been the finisher.
Yeah, me too. That's it, because it was so sudden, right?
Yeah.
That you think, yeah, he's going to get the win off of it. But then, I think the mark out moment for both of us, dude, was what Woods tried to pull out to beat Parker because he was really getting desperate.
Yeah, he actually went up on the top of the ropes and walked across the ropes, kind of like what the Undertaker would do with Old School. But then he did like a coast-to-coast style splash. It was so weird because it looked like CJ Parker was trying to roll out of the way, and Woods was just like, nah, you're not getting away from me, and he just jumped further.
Yeah, I did not. And you know that I'm a fan of Xavier Woods. Like, you know my problem's always been with Parker, but I even have to say about Woods, I did not think he was capable of that level of athleticism. Like, even walking across the ropes surprised me, and then to have the balance to do a splash that looked pretty good in form to me. Like, you know, it looked pretty legit from where I was sitting. And he still, though, only gets a 2 count. And then for the finish, Parker kind of cradles Woods, because Woods, I think he's trying to do like another springboard, but Parker, you know, kind of catches him, maneuvers him, and he does kind of like an inverted, almost like he's got like a neck breaker position with the Death Valley driver hold. So he's got like an inverted neck driver or something.
I don't know. It was at first when I saw it, I thought, well, that was just like a really tight attitude adjustment. But you kind of got closer to like a more accurate description, because it did have a little bit of like a neck breaker feel to it, and it was definitely just like a modified Death Valley driver. So I think that your description is probably the most apt in this case.
Dude, I'm just so happy for Parker right now. Well, especially for myself.
Well, I'm not happy for him because he's not going to be able to use that move on the main roster. Cena won't let him.
And see, that's what sucks, because at least, though, because I don't see him coming up to the main roster soon. I'm not saying whenever he does, like, that situation would change. I think you're right on all counts regardless. But what I was getting ready to say was, I've been against him for so long,
right,
and he has this great match. His promos have gotten better consistently, and I've even conceded that slowly. Like, I think they made the perfect adjustments to this kind of gimmick. I think they had the right gimmick in mind. They just needed to do some shedding and some cutting and some refining like they did with the Ascension. I think they're in a really good place in that department. I hated the palm strike as his finisher. I know you were a fan of it, and then they do the axe kick. I wasn't a fan of that either. I think this is perfect. This move that he used, I think
that he has officially gotten rid of the palm strike, but I think that he can use both the axe kick and this move as finishers, and just like kind of like what Sheamus used to do with White Noise and the Bro Kick, like depending on who you're going against, because like he's not going to be able to do this like modified Death Valley driver neckbreaker thing to like an Enzo or not a Big Cass or someone like that.
Right.
But the axe kick would be perfect for those kind of people.
Yeah, and even for the smaller people, like I think the axe kick would be a perfect setup maneuver.
Right.
You know, and then like you pick up the limp body and then you just drive it down with. I can't wait to hear the name that he's going to come up with for this finisher. By the way,
Greenpeace.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that'll probably be it too. But Parker gets the win, and
you know what, dude? I even liked the setup for his finisher, because Woods was going for like a crazy through the ropes tornado DDT or something, and Parker stopped the momentum and threw Woods against the ropes by his throat, and that's what set up for the finisher, and I thought that looked really cool.
Yeah, that was actually, I agree with you, the finishing sequence, yeah, that was phenomenal too. I loved commentary after the match because they were really playing up Woods as well, saying, you know, he's this guy with all this talent, but just nothing seems to be clicking. What does he have to do? So it makes you wonder if maybe, like, the gimmick that he's currently doing on the main roster, if that's going to cross over to NXT, and he's going to have Kingston and Big E come every once in a while to maybe do some heavy lifting. So it'll be interesting to see where Xavier Woods goes from here when he continues his visits to NXT.
Yeah, exactly. I'm enjoying Woods' work on NXT far more than I'm enjoying what he's doing on the main roster. But that's mostly just because he's not really on any shows on the main roster anymore, even though it seems like they want to give him something, but we've only really seen him twice since then.
Right, exactly. Much to my disappointment as well, because you know how invested I am into what he's doing.
I thought you were going to say, much to my chagrin. I was ready to be like, oh, $9 words.
Yeah. So, what a great match. Match of the night.
Yeah, definitely. Up next, we had a brief announcement. Eden Styles gets on the mic and says, the number one contender for the NXT Championship, Tyler Breeze, would like you to redirect your attention to the Tron. She doesn't even say Titantron. She just says Tron. And then Tyler Breeze cuts a promo talking about how he's decided that it is time to challenge Adrian Neville for the championship and start the era of gorgeous.
I just love this whole thing. I mean, you even said when we were watching it together, I just heard you make the tiniest squee that you've ever made.
Yeah, you did. You did. Like, because it was like normally your squeeze, you're like, but this one was just like a little tiny squeak that I couldn't even replicate if I tried because it was so barely audible.
I was just so happy because we're really inching closer now to him cashing in his championship match. I'm convinced that it's going to happen.
You sounded like a squeaking mouse.
Thank you. It's going to happen at the next NXT event, September 11th, which apparently there was a video released of Triple H announcing it. It's NXT TakeOver 2.
Oh, really? WWE, do you really want to give a freaking live special the title of TakeOver on September 11th? Really?
Yeah, it's a PR nightmare potentially waiting to happen, but hopefully journalism isn't as clever as you are, which, let's be honest, they're probably not, so I don't think we'll have anything to worry about.
Yeah, we might not have anything to worry about now, but next thing you know, it's going to be NXT Hostile Takeover, and then it's going to be NXT Hijacking, and then we're really going to be screwed.
Yeah, because journalism would only ignore it for so long, no matter how bad I may perceive them to be. But no matter how uggo the pay-per-view titles can get, when Breeze finally cashes in his championship match, which I can see being at TakeOver 2, I really believe we will usher in the era of gorgeous. I personally hope he wins because, again, I just think he's absolutely amazing. I really don't have a problem with Neville, but he really hasn't done anything for me as NXT champion. In fact, from the NXT champions that I've personally seen, and the only reign I really missed was Big E's reign, he's probably been the weakest NXT champion I've seen.
Adrian Neville has not been pinned or submitted since January, John.
Well, I mean, I don't mean like that, because...
Oh, you mean from an entertainment standpoint?
From an entertainment standpoint, yeah,
I
like
agree.
interaction, like, I don't know, it just feels off. I think Breeze would pretty much be everywhere with that championship. He'd really become even more of a staple than he already is, be a great heel title holder. So, yeah, I want the era of gorgeous to start now.
I will not disagree with you on that. I have been a fan of Tyler Breeze since he was Mike Dalton at FCW, and he won the FCW world title with the help of Road Dogg. And he's been awesome since then. And then all of a sudden he shows up on NXT and he actually has a cool gimmick, and I just love it. And the fact that he's pulling it off as well as he is just bonus points. However, up next we had Bayley versus Eva Marie, which everyone thought was going to be atrocious, but it actually ended up being not bad. I mean, it wasn't like a technical savant or anything like that. It wasn't amazing, but it was not nearly as bad as people were thinking it would be for an Eva Marie match. It started out really, really well too, because Bayley comes out and she gets her Bayley pop, and then Eva Marie's music hits, and she is literally laying on a podium posing like a freaking model and trying to flaunt her body and show off. And to me, why does the WWE not use her like that? She honestly has the potential to be the top heel in the Divas division, save for Stephanie McMahon and Cameron, and WWE is still trying to make her look like a babyface.
I don't get it either. I think she's just naturally unlikable with how she approaches things. I mean, the audience clearly doesn't take to her. I still like the idea that you came up with for her of being a valet for a heel, whether it would be a mid-carder in their own right, or hell, even a main event heel who maybe would just want some arm candy on his way to the ring. Well, yeah, I mean,
when we came up with that idea, it was Randy Orton that I said would make perfect sense, and I still think that would make perfect sense, but I mean, even now, if they don't want to use Orton, they could do Rollins.
Right, definitely. Absolutely, no doubt in my mind. But what I liked about this was that Eva pretty much, she played it safe. She tried to play the ground game with Bayley, from what I saw, driving the knees into the small of her back and then doing, kind of...
Yeah, dude, I think that was literally the only offensive maneuver she used in the entire match.
And hey, she probably saw it. She saw that it worked once, and it probably didn't look too bad. And she's like, wait a minute, I can do moves. Let me just do this for the remainder of the match and it'll carry me through.
I'm
So,
forming a repertoire.
yeah, I know, right? That light bulb goes off. Holy crap, this works! She got worse than Batista chance. Bayley's gonna hug you. Bayley is ridiculously over, by the way, folks, in case you didn't catch that memo.
I know, right? She's so over. Everyone loves Bayley.
They do.
Even the way that she's announced to the ring, like, they can't just say, and coming to the ring next, Bayley. No, it's coming to the ring next, it's Bayley. Like, they get excited when they announce her name and everything. It's awesome. I love it.
Oh, man. I really believe that she's going to be the next NXT Women's Champion. I really do. I
think it's definitely going to be either her or Sasha, depending.
Yeah.
And I think Bayley would make more sense because if we're looking at it from a who is more likely to get called up to the main roster earlier, I think Sasha is far more likely because I honestly don't think Bayley would connect with the wide mainstream audience.
I think she would have a tough time as well, which is sad because I do enjoy Bayley. There were times, I'll admit, that I found her to be a bit much, but you can't help but not have fun with a gimmick like this. You know, it's almost impossible. I mean, I'm a Grinch for sure, but even I have my limits. That said, she gets the win after the Bayley to Belly plex, or what you would all formerly know as the hug plex. Again, match was not bad at all. Crowd was into it, mainly hating Eva Marie, but hell, their interaction, I think, really raised this match up a few notches. Bayley gets the win. She still believes she deserves an NXT Women's Championship match. When and if that'll happen are still questions that loom in the air.
What's your favorite kind of hug plex, John?
I always like the side hug plex.
Man, I'm a sucker for the tiger hug plex.
Yeah.
Although I do like the butterfly hug plex as well. That's pretty devastating.
Yeah, and then if you kind of transition a bear hug into a plex, that's always kind of powerful.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. We need to look that up.
Yeah, you
the
just kind of
bear hug plex. Oh, that sounds devastating.
Yeah, man, it's gruesome.
Is it literally executed by a bear?
Only if you try hard enough.
What?
But, well, yeah, just more stories that I'm not comfortable sharing at this time. I've hugged bears, okay? That's something I do better than Daniel Bryan. Well, sometimes.
But Daniel Bryan doesn't hug bears. He fights them and beats them and wins, and that's why he's a champion.
It's so true. He is a champion.
It's unbearable! All right. Up next, we had our main event of the evening, Kid and Gabriel versus Rose and Zayn. Just to start things off, I love how good of a douche Tyson Kidd is. He's just so naturally smarmy. It's amazing.
It is, especially, I'm sorry, before I was trolling him about it, but now I'm starting to chuckle every time he does it. That's right, earlier in the night when they had that segment together, like confronting Sami Zayn before Rose stepped up, he's like, the last time you went against the Ascension by yourself, it didn't go too well. Fact! Like, what a douchebag. Oh, man. He's that guy I just picture to, just pop out of nowhere, tell me the worst news about my life or something obvious about my life, and then just be like, fact, and then just leave me in a pool of my own tears. It's terrific. But yeah, I really enjoyed this main event. I agree with you. Tyson Kidd is great as a heel, very naturally smarmy. And Gabriel as a heel, I think, is quite tremendous as well.
I love the way Gabriel changes his in-ring style when he's a heel, because normally he is constantly looking to, and the commentary even addressed this, he's always looking to jump off of something when he's a babyface, and when he's a heel, he's just interested in inflicting pain, and I love it.
And you know what? It's kind of like, albeit in a different regard, but it's kind of like what you were saying about Jericho. Like, I think it was either our last SmackDown TWitWoW or the one before last, where because he was going against a guy as big and as burly as Eric Rowan, he changed up how he approached the matchup.
I think that was this past SmackDown, dude.
Yeah, and Gabriel, again, doing it in a different way because his alignment changed, but these guys are conscious of those facts and they proceed with them accordingly. And I think that's a sign of a very brilliant ring worker. So kudos to Gabriel. Really got to give him big ups for that, for being conscious. Hey, I'm a heel now. I can't be as entertaining doing all this jumping all over stuff. So let me just be ruthless with the ground and pound and kicks. And it works tremendously well. Personally, even though I'm a really big fan of Zayn and Rose, I mean, as far as tag teams go, I'm really digging the whole Kid Gabriel act.
Absolutely. I am 100% right there with you, dude. Kid and Gabriel, to me, should have won this match. And that's kind of spoilers because now everybody knows they didn't. But in my opinion, they should have. And even if it would have been pinning Sami Zayn, all that would have done is make people love Zayn more.
Yeah. I even joked with you because Adam Rose is currently undefeated like everywhere, NXT and the main roster. Like, having Adam Rose on your team is a sure thing. Combine that with the fact that Sami Zayn, even though he's struggled a lot, like, I'm seriously still amazed to this day that you and I have not talked about him and ever referred to him as a former NXT champion, even at this point. But you get those two together, it's just such a powerful combination. And it showed here because they did 2 outside dives to Gabriel and Kid. And then when Rose got Gabriel back in the ring, Zayn nailed the Yakuza kick in the corner, and he got the pin, and so they got the victory. So now they're moving on to the semifinals. And just to kind of put it all in perspective for everybody, I believe that it's going to be Zayn and Rose. They're going to take on the winners. This will probably happen next week of Sin Cara and Kalisto versus Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Murphy! I freaking love Buddy Murphy. I'm looking forward to seeing him get in the ring, even though it's probably going to be a squash.
And we know that Enzo Amore and Big Cass for the other semifinal matchups, again, assumed to be taking place next week, or another set of quarterfinals, will be the Vaudevillains, who I'm personally rooting for, against Mojo Rawley and Bull
Dempsey, yeah.
I'm rooting for the Vaudevillains. I genuinely love that act, too, so it's not even like it's a tough choice for me. Like, Vaudevillains
you have
to
wonder, though, dude, because think about what happened when Bull Dempsey and Mojo Rawley first started teaming up. Mojo Rawley got, like, a freaking lecture. Bull straight up told him, if you screw this up, I'm going to kill you. So if they do lose, you have to wonder what's going to happen.
Well, Bull will probably turn on Mojo after the match and beat him down, and then I'll really be torn because I hate both of them.
Yeah, but then there's always the chance that they're in a match one-on-one with each other and a meteor strikes the ring.
I know, right? I love the way your mind works. But, dude, I'm telling you, the prospect of, and come on, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that is the match we're getting, but Zayn and Rose versus Kalisto Cara, holy crap.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
That's going to be mind-blowing is what that's going to be. But
and it's all but guaranteed because Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy, as much as I love Buddy Murphy, is not going to win.
Personally, and yes, there is bias because you know how much I love these guys, I am still miffed that the mechanics are not in that spot.
I know, right? Like, how are you going to put this random jobber tag team in a tag team tournament when you just debuted the mechanics, who are literally designed to be the best of jobbers? The name even implies it.
It's sad because it's true.
That's like putting a rook in to do a queen's job.
Pretty much. I mean, I really can't argue with anything. Or even hell, I would have been less miffed, because here's the thing, it's not just the fact that the mechanics got passed over, though that's certainly a part of it. How come Sylvester Lafort and Marcus Louis weren't in this?
I don't know. That's another good question.
Because they even had, like, a brief altercation with, like, Enzo and Big Cass a few weeks back. Like, they've had a little mini feud going on.
Honestly, as much as I enjoyed the match tonight, I feel like they would have made far more sense in this tournament than Sami Zayn and Adam Rose.
Right.
I mean, I love Zayn and Rose. To me, they are an awesome tag team together, but they just got thrown together and all of a sudden they're in the tournament when we have 2 well-established tag teams that aren't.
Yeah. That's really mind-boggling to me, but you know what? It is what it is. I have to get over it, because I still think it's going to be an awesome tournament, whatever the finals are going to be, because to me, I don't know who's going to face the Ascension. It's either going to be...
Yeah, I feel like the finals are probably going to be Sin Cara and Kalisto versus the Vaudevillains.
Oh, I hope you're right about the Vaudevillains part, because I can't stand Bull Dempsey and Mojo Rawley.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. I mean, I wish I could say, oh, I looked at spoilers and now I know, but I don't look at spoilers anymore. And frankly, it's not even because I don't want to. It's just because it's not freaking worth the effort to try and find them. But yeah, if I had to guess, to me, the thing that makes the most sense in this tag team tournament is Sin Cara Kalisto, who I think will win the whole thing, versus the Vaudevillains.
Yeah, I honestly could see Sin Cara and Kalisto going all the way. I could even see them beating the Ascension, because let's keep in mind, one of the few defenses that the Ascension have had was against Kalisto when he was still with his old partner, El Local.
Who is significantly inferior to Sin Cara in every way imaginable, except for ring announcing.
Exactly. So, Kalisto can say, well, I've been in the ring with them before. I have that knowledge. We have kind of a leg up. And I think the second crack he has at him, he takes it all the way. Although, it's funny because you were just mentioning, like, spoilers and rumors and all that stuff. I have heard that some main roster call-ups that WWE wants to do soon, Kalisto was on that list. There were technically three people
Let me
on
guess.
that list.
Sami Zayn, The Ascension, and Kalisto.
You got 2 out of 3.
Who did I miss?
It wasn't Sami Zayn.
What?
Yeah, they're not interested in Sami Zayn at the moment, from what I understand.
That's dumb. This is the other one, Charlotte, then?
Yeah.
I knew it. I freaking knew it.
Ashton's like, that's Charlotte killing my hopes and dreams.
Well, and not only that, but she's not even the best diva. If they're going to call up a diva, it should be Sasha.
I know, dude. The boss, well, right now she's looking like middle management at best, but regardless.
That was a great analogy.
But now that I got my Miami joke of the night out of the way.
I'm sorry, but that just caught my funny bone.
I thought it would. I'm like, do you want to take the chance, John? Do you really want to be whiter than Wonder Bread? And then I'm like, screw it, and I went for broke.
You're whiter than Wonder Bread whether you try or not, but it's okay because that's what makes us a great team.
Hooray! Better than Bull Dempsey and Mojo Rawley. Sorry, I just really had to get the point across.
Dude, that's like saying that we're a better sandwich than cheeseburgers and macaroni and cheese put in one sandwich with bread.
That sounds repulsive.
That's the point. It's being better than that means literally nothing.
Oh, God, it's so true. I don't want them to win. All right, well, we can't worry about the future when the present is just looking so fine. So, I personally have nothing else to say about this main event, do you?
Did we establish? Yeah, we did. Never mind. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, sweet. So
I was going to ask if we established who won, but then I realized that I was the one that said it in the first place. So, yeah, of course we did.
Yeah, you are, bringing it home. Anyway, now time for high spots and low shots. And my low shot, I gotta say, Jason Jordan and Ty Dillinger.
Nice.
Yeah, I think they had this match won. I think after Ty Dillinger had that super kick, Enzo could have been out for a 30 count with how he sold, just being groggy and unconscious. Did not capitalize. They enjoyed the dominance a little too much, and it cost them. They worked great as a team, but not great enough to advance to the semis. So, yeah, they're my low shot.
I like it. My low shot, I'm going to keep it simple. Xavier Woods, because no matter how hard he tried, no matter how many finishing moves he pulled out of his pockets, he just could not put CJ Parker away and ended up losing because of it.
Absolutely, man. It's rough. I mean, he did. He pulled out all the stops, and I think it's a great point you made. It's not even like, oh, we got caught on one thing. No, I mean, he brought the fight to Parker, but it wasn't strong enough, and there's no worse taste in your mouth than that, so I think that was a great choice. Along those same lines, and I never thought I'd do this, my high spot is CJ Parker. I mean, wow, did he deliver tonight. I mean, seriously. I never expected that kind of performance from him. Again, I think the character's really been gotten down, and I really believe that slowly but surely the past few weeks. I feel like the promos have been getting better, and this was really, for me, his best match to date. So really kudos to both guys because it does take two. But CJ is the winner, so for probably the first and maybe not only time, he is my high spot.
My high spot is a combination of actually the guy that had a really, really good night, but also just me being salty about what you just told me. Sami Zayn is my high spot because he deserves to be on the freaking main roster, and apparently he proved that he owns two different guys that have already been on the main roster tonight, Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel.
There you go. I mean, that's an excellent choice. I was surprised that he wasn't on the list, that it was Charlotte. Kalisto's no shock. You and I have even talked about his
and the Ascension aren't a shock either.
And the Ascension aren't a shock either. You and I have been calling that for months.
More specifically, you.
Yeah, I've been going as far as to say that they're going to be the next WWE Tag Team Champions. I mean, I'm going for broke with these guys. But yeah, the fact that Sami Zayn gets snubbed again, and you know what? I'm glad you're feeling salty about it. And you have every right to feel salty about it. I think anybody who's been following NXT religiously or is just getting into it and appreciates Zayn or whatever you are should be salty about it. This guy can go. He should be on the main roster. He should be working that mid-card.
Dude, he is the hands-down single most likable active wrestler in the WWE right now. And the only reason I specified active is because Daniel Bryan is the only guy that gets anywhere close to being in the same league as him as far as likability goes.
Absolutely. I agree with you on all fronts. I think it's bordering on criminal that he has not been on the main roster yet. And I don't know. I mean, it'll be up to you guys whether you feel like it's crossed the border or not. I don't know, because, see, I think he's moved beyond the NXT championship, truly. So if he were to go to the main roster without ever winning it, I would be fine. But I still think that's unfinished business for him, and I would like to see him get that one championship. And maybe that's what WWE is waiting for as well. I don't even know anymore. But he got the win tonight, and he's advancing towards championship gold again. Can he take it all the way? Caro and Kalisto are a thing, and they got to face him in the semis more than likely in 2 weeks if they get through Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy, which I'm not even really asking that seriously.
Murphy.
Buddy Murphy. But there you go. That's it, because we only do high spots and low shots for NXT. So is there anything else you have to say about this show?
It was a fun show, and we will see you guys for Monday Night Raw, where we'll also briefly touch on anything interesting that happened on SmackDown.
All right, so with that said, guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary Ashton. Guys, comment and subscribe on YouTube. Discuss on Tweetoff, and we will see you again for our Monday Night Raw review, the final stop before WWE SummerSlam. What will John Cena have to say to the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar?